Hello, welcome, Rules Lawyer viewers. This was truly pulled together last minute, and I have the awkward fact that I don't have headphones, so I'm actually going to be listening on my cell phone while streaming the video of it to you guys. Hopefully it will be in sync, and yeah. So, hello, first last. You're first. Oh, I need to tell people in my Discord about this too. At least the people who've been chatting with me about my new video. It's not playing for me yet. Oh, I need you guys to hear it, actually. There's an issue here. You need to be able to hear it, hear them. I'm going to turn the volume down on my computer and stream it to you guys. Oh my god, I figured that out last minute. Yes, Isaac, I'm sorry for the last minuteness. I was too caught up in dealing with comments to my morning video. Hey, this video is supposed to be premiering now. Oh, here it is. I know one of the things I said in my video is that they didn't balance spells. Oh, I hope you guys can react to me quickly. It just seems, it says my streaming might be a little behind. Oh well, but you'll at least be reacting. Anyway, you'll see the video at the same time I do. But yeah, I was talking about how they didn't really address many of the problem spells, or they're not even talking about that. But that was 90% true. In the playtest, they did talk about smite balancing and also conjure spells being balanced, though the feedback might have been so negative about those that they blanched and rolled those improvements back. We'll see. We'll see if they talk about that at all. All right, thank you, chat. Please complain about sound levels or whatever, or not hearing anything. Could someone type the word ping right when I say ping? I just want to see what the delay is. And once one person does it, that's enough. Okay, that was like 20 seconds, 15 seconds. That's all right, that's all right. You'll be seeing the video at the same time as me. Hey, where's the countdown part of this countdown? We're just looking at abstract art. Boring. Hey, Calvin, I remember you. So I discovered within the past hour that a number of the videos that other creators have made, they're sponsored by Hasbro. I don't agree with that. So I pinned a comment about that. We're supposed to be boycotting Hasbro. You're supposed to be hearing this, Oh, I know what's going on. Okay, now do you hear the exciting countdown music? Okay, I fed Megan. Megan! Alright. You're seeing Ronald without edits. You're seeing me dealing with my cat. We're just gonna be hearing music forever. Okay, let's talk, chat. 1,975 watching right now. What are people saying? As long as we have nothing to listen to, let's see what chat is saying. Oh no, you're hearing it too much. I see. I'm gonna... Yeah, complain about sound levels constantly. I'm gonna turn it to this. Oh my god, this is gonna be the boring part of the stream that people fast forward through. I admit if chat, I apologize, this is not going to be my best stream. I'm not up to date on the latest playtests. I stopped after the 6th playtest, so did not see the last 2. I don't know what the prevailing issues have been in the community. Oh, that's the countdown, we're at 6 seconds away. I expect it to be a lot of what we've already seen in the UAs. That's what the fighter was like.
One of the things you'll notice as a Paladin
I'll be
player
reacting with you guys and reading chat.
The new player's handbook is that your spellcasting has moved from level 2 to level 1. And so you will begin being able to cast spells right away. And this also has a carry-on effect for multiclassing, that if you multiclass now, you will get more slots out of the Paladin part of your multiclass mix than you did before. And when we talk about the Ranger, we'll see that a similar thing happened there. We did this because we wanted Paladin players to start learning how to use their spells right away, because spells are a key part of the Paladin's kit, and having it at 2nd level before meant you were waiting to learn how to use one of the most important parts of your class. So now there's no wait.
That might make Paladin too appealing as a dip.
Which you'll then need to know all about when you get to level 2 and you start doing Divine Smite.
Yeah.
At level 1, you don't just get spellcasting now, though. You still get Lay on Hands, that iconic ability that Paladins have to heal themselves and others. And you also get Weapon Mastery. And so that means that Paladins, too, are going to get to play with all of the fun that Weapon Mastery brings to any of our classes focused on weapon use.
So will casters who do a single level dip.
But then level 2,
they will have fun too.
Waiting for you. And at first, you might look at the class feature table for the Paladin and see, oh, fighting style, I had that before. But there's actually a lot of change hiding in there, good updates for the Paladin, because now, when you choose your fighting style as a Paladin, you are no longer restricted to a curated list like the Paladin was in 2014. You now have access to the
fighting styles are in the feats now.
Fighting style list that fighters also have access to.
Okay, interesting.
And you also have the option to forego choosing any of those and instead learning some cleric cantrips.
Oh, okay.
So if you decide that you'd rather be more of a spell hurling paladin rather than leaning harder into your weapon use, you now have that option in the fighting style feature at level 2.
Okay.
This is a part of a theme of us providing more customization options where it made sense in each of the classes. You also now get a feature called Paladin's Smite. This was called Divine Smite in 2014.
Okay.
It's now called Paladin's Smite because it actually now gives you 2 things. In 2014, this feature allowed you to use the class's iconic Divine Smite ability, where you burn a spell slot and deal a bucket load of extra damage to a target you just hit. Divine Smite still does that. Divine Smite, though, has now been packaged as a spell, and then the Paladin Smite feature, in addition to giving you that spell and allowing you to always have it prepared, also now lets you cast Divine Smite once per day without burning a spell slot. So what that means is paladins now every day get a freebie Divine Smite. And so that's going to
making it a spell makes it more versatile as a tool.
Some of the pressure on their spell slots. We did this so that paladins could certainly just use all their spell slots to cast Divine Smite, but we also wanted to make it just a smidge easier for paladins to cast some of their other spells if they so choose.
Perfect.
Now, when we get to
why not
level
make some
3,
dedicated
where
slot
you
that
pick your
cannot be used to
subclass,
Divine
you
Smite?
also
Then
get
they're
Channel
forced to have
Divinity, and
non-smite.
Here, there's a really nice upgrade for paladins in terms of the number of uses of Channel Divinity they get. It used to be that a paladin got exactly 1 use of Channel Divinity, and then that was restored upon taking a short or a long rest. Now, you get 2 uses to start, and every time you take a short rest, you get 1 use back, and then when you take a long rest, you get all your uses back. But then even better, that 2 turns into a 3 when you hit level 11. So you're going to be able to use your Channel Divinity far more often than you could before. We've also taken
In case you guys don't know, I have a 2-second delay compared to you guys in reacting, seeing this video.
Into a Channel Divinity option, and in the process, we've also made it last quite a bit longer. So if you do decide to use Divine Sense, rather than it lasting only 1 round, which was how long it lasted in 2014, it now is going to last 10 minutes. And we increased its duration, not only because you're now using your Channel Divinity on it, but also to make it easier to use, particularly in social interaction and exploration scenes. You know, the classic circumstance of the paladin is at the Queen's Ball and is trying to figure out which of these partygoers is actually a demon or an undead in disguise.
Right.
This longer duration will allow the
Isaac mentions that this Channel Divinity sounds like focus points. That's true.
Decide to use Divine Sense. We also, at level 5, have made it so that all paladins now get
they sound
Divine
pretty good
Seed
overall.
spell for free. They always have it prepared, and they can cast it once per day without expending a spell slot. Find Steed is an iconic paladin spell, and we decided we did not want a paladin to have to use up one of their spell preparation slots on that spell.
Right.
And we also wanted you to be able to use it at least once per day without having to use one of your precious few slots, since paladins and rangers do have fewer spell slots than many of our other spellcasters. And then on top of that, the Find Steed spell has been completely redesigned for the paladin so that the steed can now get more powerful depending on the level of the spell slot you use to cast the spell. And the steed is now not reliant on particular animal stat blocks, but instead has a stat block all its own, specially designed for the paladin.
Perfect.
So
they're
really
probably
feel
sticking
like
to
you are
those
summoning this otherworldly creature
for
that
conjuration
isn't just
spells,
a horse or some other creature that you're riding around
not
on,
simply referring you to the
but is
monster
this
manual. It sounds like they'll have
otherworldly
those
being that
things
is
we saw in the
there
UAs.
to work with you really as a companion, as this faithful companion there to assist the paladin and the paladin's friends.
That's amazing.
I am hoping that with this change, many paladins will feel more empowered to have these really cool companions present on their adventure.
And that's, again, living out that fantasy and honing in on that wish fulfillment of wanting to smite.
Someone complains
more,
about it being a spell.
and
That is
also
weird that you
getting that
can
steed,
heighten
sooner
your
and
spell
easier.
to
Absolutely.
make it a
We
stronger
also
steed. Why not
have
just make it a
in the
fixed
core
class feature that scales with your
given all
level?
paladins a new feature called Abjure Foes, and this gives all paladins a juicy use for their Channel Divinity. A number of our paladin subclasses in the past had a Channel Divinity option that was very similar to Abjure Foes, but it was sort of slightly changed in a number of the subclasses. We decided to take those variants, create a universal version that all Paladins are happy to have, and now built it into the base class.
Okay.
We also did some under-the-hood work on the Paladin's aura, partly by turning it into a single aura that gains additional abilities. Previously, the Paladin, and particularly based on
This sounds like the Pathfinder remaster champion.
would end up having
The aura.
multiple different auras, some of them with different radii.
Yeah.
And it could start getting quite confusing keeping track of like all of your different auras and how big is this one versus that one.
Yeah.
So we sort of cleaned up the whole aura game for Paladins by, in the base class and then also in the subclasses that are in this book, all of the auras that used to be different auras before are now all one aura that simply gains.
I'm going to apologize. I'm going to miss a
functionality.
detail too because
It's
of
gonna be
reading
far
chat,
easier
trying to
for the
listen.
Paladin to keep track of
Fortunately, Jeremy
what's going
Crawford
on
speaks
because
very
Paladin
slowly.
now has just one aura that just gains cool new features as the Paladin goes up in level. The aura also makes use of a new type of area of effect that we've introduced in the new Player's Handbook. And
A new
it
mechanic!
is an area of effect that has been in the game for the last 10 years, but didn't have a name. And we decided to finally give it a name. And I'm bringing it up now while talking about the Paladin, because it's specifically for things like auras and other effects that emanate outward from a particular creature or object.
Emanation?
So this area of effect is called the emanation. We've seen it all over the place in 5th edition.
2-second
in the
delay,
last
I'm
10
reacting, by
years.
the way.
Basically, anytime you read a feature or a monster ability or a spell,
They're talking about it like it's a
talked about
it came out of their brain, but this
within
was
a
true in 3rd
certain
edition, I think.
radius
It was called an
being
emanation.
affected by something, that was basically an emanation. It just wasn't called that.
Yeah.
So we have now given that area of effect a name and given it its own definition, just as the other areas of effect in our system have definitions. And you can now find all of those definitions in the Player's Handbook's rules glossary. One other thing in the Paladin that I wanted to chat about, because this is the first of the spellcasting classes that we have talked about, is the new approach to spell lists. So each spellcasting class now has its spell list inside the class description. So rather than making a paladin or a ranger or a warlock or
Go
another
all the way
spell,
back to the end of the book.
instead it's right there in the class description. But in addition to that,
What I'm worried
we
about is
have
that it'll be
worked to
only the
make
name
the
and not a
spell
sentence
list
about the
that's in your
spell.
class more useful for you. And we've done that by not only giving you all the spells by name, but also every spell's school of magic is listed. We also tell you if the spell on your list requires concentration. We also tell you if it's a ritual, and we also tell you if it has a specific component that you must have to cast the spell. So in those cases, when a component has a specific cost or the spell consumes the component, you must have that component to cast that spell. And so we now tell you in your class spell list if the spell has a required component, so that you now have sort of one-stop shopping for your spells, and you can
I'm just
see at a
worried that
glance what the
Them
spell's
reproducing
school of
spell
magic
lists
is, if it
in,
requires
inside each
concentration,
class makes them
if it's a
decide not
ritual,
to include a
and if it has a
sentence
specific
about what the
component
spell
you must
does,
have to
which I
cast
think
it.
is more
This is all meant
important for
If you're a player,
usability.
you play paladins or warlocks. You have less pages you need to traverse to understand what you have and what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Paladin subclasses have all received some fun updates, starting with the Oath of Devotion.
Yeah, let's start with the Oath of Devotion. What is new here?
One of the biggies right away is the Oath of Devotion can now activate their Sacred Weapon feature as part of the attack action rather than sacking their entire action to do it.
Yeah.
In the past, it was so punishing to have to use your entire action to activate it that many Paladin players just decided not to use it. Now, as a part of attacking, you can simply decide, I'm going to activate this. We have also replaced in the Oath of Devotion the feature
Sounds
that was
good.
previously called Purity of Spirit with a new feature called Smite of Protection. And what this now does is when you use your Divine Smite, because the Oath of Devotion Paladin is the classic knight in shining armor who is there to protect others, it now means that when you use Divine Smite, you and your allies in your aura of protection have half cover for a limited time. So you have this magical protection that gives you the full benefits of half cover, even if you're standing out in the open, as long as your friends are in that aura of protection.
On Channel
So this gives
Divinity
a
being free to
nice,
buff your attacks, I'm wondering
feeling
why they wouldn't do that with the Barbarian Rage,
even when
which
you're
I think
blasting
Pathfinder
your
is
foes
removing
with Divine
an action to
Smite.
enter Rage.
We've also made it so that the level 20 ability, Holy Nimbus,
But bonus actions are
is
stupid.
now usable as a bonus action instead of an action, because we want you to be able to activate it and then keep going on your turn, rather than essentially spending an entire turn getting ready to do something. And there are a number of places in the player's handbook where
Something cost a
abilities
bonus
really are
action? I
just
missed that. I'm
turning
sorry, chat.
on a state have often now been changed from being an action to a bonus action, or in some cases, like with Sacred Weapon in Oath of Devotion, don't require an action or a bonus action at all, and instead are absorbed into another action. Because again, in many cases, we want you to get to the fun faster. The Oath of Devotion is joined by the Oath of Glory. This, for me, is often the Paladin who, if they were in a movie, would look at the camera, have impossibly white teeth with a little sparkle on them as they smile. The Oath of Glory appeared previously in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, as well as in Mythic Odyssey of Theros.
Yeah, that's where it first came from.
And it has evolved a bit on its way to the player's handbook. And two of the main evolutions that I think are worth talking about here. One is the Peerless Athlete feature now lasts for an hour rather than 10 minutes.
Oh, that's good.
This feature is especially useful in exploration contexts.
Exactly, yeah.
And so we wanted it to be more useful in
This
that
doesn't seem to
pillar
be in the
of
current
adventure.
Oath of Glory.
The other big change is to Aura of Alacrity. The new feature here is that it not only benefits your allies who start their turn in your Aura of Protection, but also if they enter that aura on their turn. This is a really major change, because before, the Aura of Alacrity, which speeds you and your allies up, it's all about the Paladin allowing you all to charge forward into battle or some other situation more quickly. The way it was designed before, it was actually extremely difficult sometimes for it to even do anything for your friends, because they had to time it so that they started their turn in your aura, which can actually be more complicated than it sounds.
For me, the issue with bonus actions, yes, my cat, is not necessarily the mechanic itself, but they did not design them to be truly minor actions, pertinent to your main action, the way minor actions were in 4E. And so it's now competing with other really strong bonus actions.
That's super helpful.
And it becomes a mini game to try to have a bonus action useful all the time.
Where it's sort of, you can have a
where it's part of your DPR even.
And wait.
Yeah.
One other thing I would love to mention about Oath of Glory that relates actually to all of the
I do think minor action, the 4E system is better though. That is an improvement to put in.
Subclass.
Of having them trading, you can trade the actions for each other.
Not only in the Oath spell list, but also when you get to the Cleric, the Domain spell list, and in the Warlock, the Patron spell list. All of these lists have been vetted and in many cases updated with different spell options. I'm thinking of this now while we're talking about the Oath of Glory, particularly because the Oath of Glory list in getting updated even includes a brand new spell appearing in this player's handbook for the first time. So when you reach level 17 as a Paladin, and if you have the Oath of Glory subclass, you get a brand new spell in the game called Yolan's Regal Presence. And this is a spell created by the Queen of the Elves in the world of Greyhawk, and it allows the Paladin and anyone else who casts the spell to, as it says in the name, have an extraordinarily regal presence that will cause people to like fall down on their knees and also potentially take psychic damage from just how glorious.
They're not showing any rules text on the screen. Like, they could have shown one spell.
I hope everyone will take time. You know, when they come to their favorite subclass, if it's a subclass that had a little spell list, take a look at that list, because you're going to find often that not only have some
they're protective, that you have to go on D&D Beyond, correct?
One spell for another, but sometimes the new spell that's on the list is a brand new spell for the game.
Perfect. So we have the Oath of the Ancients Paladin. This is one of my favorites. It feels like the Green Knight. It's a very unique feel from any other class or subclass.
Green Knight.
When we created the Oath of the Ancients originally for the 2014 Player's Handbook, it really was in answer to the question, what would a paladin look like who had been a part of elven culture, or another culture that maybe is less sort of knight in shining armor, but still would have these noble oaths and have a lot of the dedication that we associate with paladins, but again, more of a nature or or druidic or elven aesthetic. And so the answer to that was the Oath of the Ancients. The art for it is wonderful, as is the art for all of the subclasses in the book, and we have made some enhancements to the Oath as it has migrated into the new Player's Handbook. One of those is that the subclass's aura of warding at level 7 now just straight up gives people in your aura resistance to necrotic, psychic, and radiant damage. Because this paladin is all about protecting people from, in some cases, foes from beyond. And so
before it was resistance to damage from spells.
Protect you from the magic of necrosis, which we associated with the negative energy plane, radiant damage, which is from
I wonder if this is a nerf
plane, and then psychic damage, which we often associate with the far realm.
And radiant damage can feel also very creepy. It doesn't have to feel like celestial and happy and good. This can also be something. This can feel like radioactive.
Exactly.
So it's not always.
Was there an issue with resistance to damage from spells?
Natural source.
Exactly. Just as necrotic damage is not always malevolent.
It does sound strong.
Because death can be it is a natural part of the world. Also, in the subclass, we have increased the range of the subclass's Nature's Wrath ability, which is their entanglement ability. So if you love playing an Oath of the Ancients Paladin and tangling people up in roots, well, now you can do that even easier because the range of that ability has been extended. We have also, in the subclass's Undying Sentinel ability, made it so that if you pop back from 0, you don't pop back with just 1 hit point. And just as we did in the Barbarian, you now pop back with a bunch of hit points so that you don't get knocked down immediately after you popped back up.
Perfect.
Those are the main changes here, and really just our effort to make this great subclass just even better at the fun stuff it was already doing.
I love that even the subclasses that are very tried and true are still getting, a facelift, an upgrade, and getting something extra to do.
And that is true of every subclass in the book. That no matter how solid it was, it's getting.
I will stick around
some
after this
new
video, and I have some thoughts
and so
already
that
that
leaves
I'll
us then
save
with
for the end.
Oath of Vengeance. This was another subclass that was super solid, but still has some fun new toys within it. One of the biggies, because it affects the subclass's most iconic ability, its Vow of Enmity, is you no longer have to use your bonus action to activate your Vow of Enmity. This you can now use simply as a part of the attack action.
Wow.
And we've
Whoa.
also made it
That's the one
so
that gives you advantage on all attack rolls against that creature for a
the
minute.
target
They're choosing
of
to
your
make
Vow
that
of
free?
Enmity perishes. You now have a window of time where you can transfer it to somebody else. Because it used to be that you would place it on somebody.
You can transfer it even though they're giving you
They
two
got
channel
filled
divinities
quickly enough,
already to
right?
begin with?
It's like, well,
Well, I guess that's done. Or someone else kills them, yeah.
and so now, similar to how Hunter's
Was it-
Mark functions, where you can move that spell around.
I'm just seems
you
like they're
can now
buff.
also move
I don't know
around
D&D very
your
well,
Vow
but it
of
seems like they're
Enmity.
buffing one
And
of the
level
stronger
20,
things.
With their Avenging Angel ability,
Yeah.
we've made two major enhancements. One of them is you can now activate it as a bonus action instead of an action.
Thank you.
And it lasts for an entire hour. And we did this because this feature includes flight,
Yeah, okay.
and we wanted the
It was already an
the
hour.
Oath of Vengeance Paladin to be able to use that flight to pursue somebody. And so watch out.
Go right into evil Superman mode and hunt them down. The new player's handbook is available for pre-order right now on D&D Beyond.
Oh, they're
You can
frightened
find
of you
that
for an
link in
hour,
the video
maybe. Oh,
description.
God, that was
And you can also
an
find
abrupt
the new core
ending.
Rulebooks bundle for pre-order.
All right,
both
we've
physical and digital.
Megan's been my
Thank you so much for
co-star
watching.
today.
We have a ton of video content coming out about the new player's handbook and all the new core rulebooks, the new monster manual, the new Dungeon Master's Guide. So be sure to check out all of that content. And thank you for watching.
All right. Hey, by the way, you're not in the Rules Lawyer channel, everybody. You're in the Rules Lawyer Discord community channel. So subscribe here if you want to, in case I do another stream of this nature. It probably is going to be on the side channel. You'll also be notified about streams about my live plays. But yeah, the main thought I have, I'd like to see what chat's thoughts are, is that some of the we saw no addressing, and they're not okay. To be fair, in these PR videos, they're not going to necessarily address balance discussions. They're not going to admit fault with their system, first of all. But one of the issues with the Paladin was it was such an appealing dip or multi-class at those low levels to get Divine Smite, and I'm trying to look at the level. And I apologize, I haven't seen the latest Unearthed Arcana articles, but don't they get a bonus to... Oh, I'm confusing it with the previous edition. But I know that if higher level paladins, their auras buff saving throws, and that's like really essential for high level parties and make paladins very important. Otherwise, you're going to be like, you know, paralyzed in front of dragons and so forth. It's not clear. Anyway, those are also kind of more systemic issues of the system, honestly. They're continuing to front load classes at the low level, so that dips are super appealing. And the fact that you can get they lay on hands, well, that was already level 1, but a fighting style now at level 1, and did they say Divine Smite was first level now? I think they did. Makes it a very cheaper dip for multi-classing purposes. So that is going to destabilize balance more than already, I think. Yeah, I'm reading chat. The rich get richer. Yeah, those again, I don't think it's a majority of tables who optimize, majority of players, but I think the majority of tables have people who optimize, is my guess. So, you know, you're going to have imbalances at that table. And And the way multiclassing is, the more they give to the first level or two, it's like they're in a design trap. The more they give to marshals at level 1 or 2, the less appealing being a pure marshal becomes, because casters can dip into it. Hirundo Rustica asks, is the current way of multiclassing still going to be in the new books? We have heard no indication that they're going to modify how multiclassing works. And I believe it's actually core. Actually, I'm not sure whether it's core. Feats are definitely core. I think multiclassing is going to be an official optional rule as before. And we have not seen any changes to how multiclassing would work. You know, I know one idea was like you have to have several levels in your first class first before you can multi-class as a way to, temper it, or preventing taking one level of more than one class. But we have not heard anything like that from the devs. Vaston says it seems like they have absolutely no design goals and instead are just looking to appeal to existing customers. I kind of agree. One of the things in the discussion on my Discord, the thread about my video that just dropped, is that one person said, AAA Battery said, who's a great commenter by the way, that perhaps why they have not addressed the problematic spells is they might have done a trial balloon in one of the Unearthed Arcanas where they nerfed the banishment spell. And apparently there was a huge community reaction, and I'm probably overplaying it. It's probably a loud minority who were furious that they would nerf a spell. And that might have made them decide not to try to nerf some problem spells for the health of the game. Basically, the poll was the survey process was more of a popularity contest instead of a serious playtest or design process. And I also am not sure whether popularity contest is accurate. It's more, will it make some segment, even a minority, really loud? And that was what happened. And so tyranny of the, not the majority, but of tyranny of mediocrity, maybe you could call it. All right, I'm reading chat. My cat has been really, really active today. Yes, spells at level 1. Yes, including Smite. Yeah, the problem with a DM wanting to ban multi-classing is that there's so little choice for characters and players when they level up after that. So it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I should have probably mentioned in my video today that there was no playtesting of, well, even low-level play, but I was going to say high-level play. Like, no design goal to address making the game better at higher levels, because like with the lack of a playtest around the Dungeon Master's Guide, they didn't have that as a goal to begin with. I think that's what that was. And they're even saying in the player's handbook, they recommend that tables start at level 3 now, who are not completely new to the game, making the range at which the game works smaller. Well, the official work, well, you know what I mean. The players from the two editions can be in the same table. However, the buffs that seem to be the pattern probably means that hardly anyone's going to stick with 5.0 classes, is my guess. They're going to play with a new shiny. I like Klaus's attitude. Definitely ban it, and if they aren't happy, then we play Pathfinder. Uh-oh. Megan, she's getting affectionate with my glass of liquid here. Okay, so First Last says that Paladins were very strong through level 7, and they've buffed their start even more, while weaker after level 7, but their strong start got stronger. In general, they seem to be just, trying to tell martial players, we're buffing your class, we hear you. Which I think is going to convince a number of people who like martials to stick around longer. It will. But in the long term, I think there's going to be a dawning realization that there's still, unless they address the spells, the broken spells, there's going to be a dawning realization that they're not quite happy. And I think it's going to be, in the long term, one of the issues that will hinder the take-up of D&D for this next period of time they expect to have this edition, whatever that is. It's something they could have addressed headed off by having a serious playtest process, but they decided not to. Why spend half your development on levels where a low percentage of players are going to interact with it? Well, I would say that is a vicious cycle. People aren't playing those levels because Wizards hasn't supported it. Paladin was still the best martial by far. Yeah. Compared to the other martials, because they could rely on a spell to up their damage. But yeah, I think the overall picture, though, is that martials are getting a buff, but it's not going to be enough to satisfy some players, martial players. I think what other games, not just Pathfinder, offer martials will be more... I've not seen MCDM, but I'm going to guess it's more... because I know Matt Colville liked 4E, that it's going to be more supporting tactical play. And that, and together with Pathfinder, I think will... make tables who want more fun for martials after a certain level, make them bounce off of this new edition. We'll see. Sorcidin. Oh, someone wrote Sorcidin. Yes, Sorcidin is a thing. I wonder if they're going to address... I don't know if any of the Unearthed Arcanas addressed the... What is it called? The Sorlock? The one where you get to convert one resource into another, or Coffee Lock. Okay. Yes. All right. So, I think people should definitely continue commenting on this stream video, but in terms of I think this is the kind of the time to close. Just my overall thoughts on the Paladin. Any other overall thoughts from chat? I'm just gonna ask. The Coke Lock. Yeah, they did strengthen the multi-class of the Paladin, and that's going to probably be the news of the day on the forums. Yeah, and I believe the Warlock charisma to your attacks feature is still level 1. That's still at level 1. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing the other big takeaway is, yeah, a lot of the big exploits, they are not addressing them. The ones that require some reading of forums to build your character, they're leaving them intact, it seems, and in fact, sometimes strengthening them. I think we can safely conclude that now with this edition. Yes, fire Chris Cox, protect the workers. Yes, the boycott of WotC is still on. I am disappointed that other creators are taking sponsorships from Hasbro, and Cox should be fired, and we want to support the workers getting unionized. And it's one thing to cover the game that will get you views, but anyway, unless you have a desperate particular financial need, I don't think taking money from WotC is a good idea. Okay. I encourage people, if you haven't yet, subscribe to this side channel, and also join my Discord, where we are going to continue. I have a channel dedicated to Rules Lawyer videos, and we have a thread talking about my posting today. So get to talk about talk with like-minded people about the new edition there. So that's it. Thank you.